story write reality? When the universe became its own narrator. From the basis, before the bang, can a story write reality?
What if the stories we tell aren't just stories? What if they're actually writing our reality? Now, it sounds kind of out there, I know, but stick with me because we're about to connect a really strange work of fiction to one of the biggest, most mind-bending mysteries in all of science. Okay, just picture this for a second. You're a writer, right? You've just typed the final words of your new book. You're feeling pretty good about it. And then your doorbell rings. You open the door, and standing right there is the main character from your book, the one you thought you made up. And let me tell you, she is not happy. This is pretty much the terrifying premise of the novel The Basis. An author gets confronted by someone who says he literally wrote her into a life of misery. I mean, that's a wild idea, isn't it? The wall between what's real and what's in your head just crumbling. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But, and this is the crazy part, what if I told you that in the real world, down at the tiniest quantum level, something just as weird, if not weirder, is happening all the time? All right, so let's put the book down for a second and step into a physics lab. Because science has stumbled upon a puzzle so strange, it honestly makes the idea of a fictional character knocking on your door seem, well, not quite so impossible after all. So, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to talk about one of the most famous experiments in history. It's called the double-slit experiment. And trust me, the setup is super simple, but the results, they are absolutely going to blow your mind. Okay, here's the deal. You take a bunch of particles, let's say electrons, and you shoot them at a wall that has two little slits in it. Now, common sense tells you that on the detector screen behind the wall, you should see two straight lines, right? One for each slit. But that is not what happens at all. Instead, what you get is this weird striped pattern. It's called an interference pattern, and it's the kind of thing you'd expect to see if you were sending waves, not particles. And here's where it gets truly nuts. This still happens even if you shoot the electrons one at a time. It's like each single electron goes through both slits at the same time as some kind of wave of possibilities and then messes with itself on the other side. Wild. You'd think it couldn't get any weirder, but oh, it does. So the scientists, naturally, were like, okay, what is going on here? They decided to place a tiny little detector right by the slits to, peek and see which slit each electron actually goes through. A simple little peek, an act of observation. But that one little act, it changed absolutely everything. The results are just wow. When nobody's watching, the electrons do their wave thing, creating that strange striped pattern. But the instant we look, the moment we observe which slit they go through, poof, the wave behavior is gone, they start acting like well-behaved little particles, and you get the two simple lines you expected all along. It's like they know they're being watched. This phenomenon has a name. It's called the observer effect. And what it means is that the simple act of getting information, just knowing which path the particle took, seems to force that blurry, uncertain wave of possibilities to pick a side, to collapse into one definite single reality. Kind of like a story that could go a million different ways until the author writes the ending, locking it into one path. So that leads to a huge question, right? Is it the physical detector itself that's messing with the electrons, or is it something deeper? Well, to figure that out, scientists came up with an even more brilliant and frankly, even crazier experiment. It's called the delayed choice quantum eraser. And what they found, it's just staggering. Okay, try to follow this, because it's a trip. They split a particle into two entangled twins. Let's call them A and B. Whatever happens to one instantly affects the other. Twin A goes off to the screen to make a pattern. Twin B, meanwhile, heads to a special detector. And here's the kicker. We get to decide whether to read the path information from Twin B or to erase that information completely. And the truly shocking, impossible-sounding part is that our decision about Twin B, a decision we make now, seems to retroactively change the pattern that its twin A already made in the past. Yeah, it's as weird as it sounds. And that's the bombshell. This experiment proved once and for all that it's not some physical bump from a detector that's causing the change. It's not the measurement at all. It's just the information, the mere fact that the which path information exists even if no one has looked at it yet. If that information is out there anywhere in the universe, the wave collapses. But if you erase it, the wave comes back. It's not matter, it's not energy, it's information that seems to be pulling the strings of reality. Okay, deep breaths. Let's bring this all the way back to that weird novel we started with. Because now, with all this quantum craziness in our back pocket, that writer's problem starts to look, well, a little different, doesn't it? It stops sounding just like a spooky story and starts sounding an awful lot like a metaphor for quantum physics. So check this out. The central idea in the basis is that a story, which is really just a special kind of information, right? Well, if it's observed, if it's read with enough focus by a certain group of people, it can literally collapse from being just a possibility into being real. Think about it. An unwritten story can go anywhere. It's pure potential. But once you write it down and someone reads it, it's locked in. It becomes a single, definite thing. You see the parallel here, right? It's incredible. In the quantum world, you've got a wave of possibilities. In the novel, that's the unwritten script. In physics, you have an observation that forces reality to make a choice. In the novel, you have the act of reading the story. And in both worlds, that act of observation causes a collapse. The wave collapses into a particle, the fiction collapses into reality. I mean, how cool is that? This connection is just so fascinating. It almost makes you wonder, maybe our universe is built on rules that are a lot more like storytelling than we ever thought possible. So when you really think about it, this whole idea that information can shape reality, it stops being just a quirky plot device or a weird thing that happens in a lab. It starts to feel bigger. Like it could be a fundamental law of how everything works. The stories we believe, the information we create, the very things we pay attention to and observe. Maybe all of it is actively helping to collapse this infinite ocean of possibilities into the one single reality that we all share. And that, of course, leaves us with one last massive and kind of haunting question. If a particle needs an observer to become real, and if a fictional character in this novel needs a reader to become real, then what about us? What about our reality? If our entire universe is just one story that was chosen, that collapsed out of a sea of infinite other possibilities, well, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who or what is the ultimate reader?
The Basis, a fiction by Dawson Freedy, where the equations of the universe meet the silence before creation. Journey through the origins of time, mind, and matter, where the 31 planes whisper their truth beyond the Big Bang. Now available on Amazon.